Seems like the injuries just never stop for this team. Seems like this team is always plagued by something. And as I said before, it seems like there's something that's always holding the Clippers back from reaching their ultimate destination. Because the health and safety protocols have just been an issue for every team. It has been an issue for the Clippers, has been an issue for every team in the NBA. So it's not like the Clippers are only going through this, but it just seems that way, Now, there are reports coming out more and more about Nicholas Batum. Nicholas Batum having, of course, he was out for a while with the COVID. And now there's reports coming out about him in regards to an Achilles injury and ankle injury. And it just seems like it just never stops. And I mean, when you think about somebody like Nicholas Batum, you may not think that he's one of the best players or anything like that, or you may even think he doesn't serve much value, but he definitely serves a lot of value for the Clippers. And I feel like, when Nicholas Batum is playing at his best, that's when the Clippers are playing at their best, because he's definitely a versatile weapon for them. He's definitely a weapon for them that, gives them a lot of opportunities on the scoring end and a lot of better opportunities on the defensive end, because with his versatility and his versatility in regards to being able to guard position 1 through 5 on the floor, it makes him a dangerous weapon. But when he's limited or neutralized by injuries, it definitely takes away from their defense. And, as I said before, it's just one thing right after another with the Clippers. We haven't really heard any other reports on Paul George about his UCL injury. There's been reports a couple days ago, Reggie Jackson saying something about that, Paul George's arm is feeling good. Paul George told him that his arm is feeling really good. But, of course, that, you kind of take that with a grain of salt, because, your arm could feel really good when it's not taking any contact. Your arm would feel really good when you're not in a, in game, playing, running back and forth, getting bumped, getting bruised, doing a lot of shooting under pressure. And, things like that. It's the little things like that, makes all the world difference. And then on top of that, of course, Kawhi Leonard hasn't stepped on the floor yet this season. We've been hearing a lot of positivity about, Kawhi Leonard coming back, strong possibility for him coming back. And he's looking really, really good. And he's looking really healthy. And he's looking like, he can definitely be the player he was, before the injury happened. And, all that's well and good, but at this point in time, those players are not at 100%, and they're not at 100% clip to help the Clippers play at a high level. And, right now the Clippers are going to have to just do it by committee. And, by committee, the other night, I think Amir Coffey scores 21 points in the game against, I think, the Atlanta Hawks, and helped give them a lift in a big win. And, that's what the Clippers are going to have to do. They're going to have to just, do it by committee, because all the core players on the Clippers seem to be ailing at some point or somehow. I still think Marcus Morris is ailing from an injury. I still think I think he's starting to play better, but I still think he's ailing from an injury as well. So, the Clippers are very, 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 very depleted right now. And I know a lot of people may look at this team like, they're a playing tournament team. And I think that's what a lot of analysts are starting to think. And I specifically think, when I listen to Skip and Shannon, that Shannon thinks that only because he's hating on the team. But at the same time, I think, there's other analysts who believe the same thing, because this team right here, yeah, they're right on the cusp of the playoffs, but they're still on the outside looking in. And when you look at that in its entirety, can they string together some wins while Paul George is sidelined, while Kawhi is sidelined, while, players like Nicholas Batum is not, playing up to his 100% capability because his injuries, he's trying to get right as much as he can, but it's hard to get healthy while you're playing. And I never understood when I heard analysts say things like, oh, it'll get better during the season. How's the injury going to get better during the season if you're playing on it? The injury only gets better the more rest and the more, those type things that you're doing to help the injury go away, and the surgery and letting it heal properly. Playing on an injury or playing through an injury injury never makes it better. It always tends to make it worse. You just hope that you can recover in the offseason to go into the next season, as healthy as possible. And when I look at the Clippers right now, it's a tough road for them. But I mean, if any team can do it, I believe it's them. I believe they are the team that can, find a way to be resilient. They just got to get other players involved, get players back. Luke Kennard, Zubac. Even though a lot of people don't think Zubac has really panned out to the way he's supposed to, including myself, but I still think the Clippers need him though, because his presence and every extra body that they can have on the floor is definitely useful at this point, because they're just dropping bodies like back to back. And like I said, when you have certain players like Nicholas Batum and players like that who are not 100%, it just really affects the team on both ends of the floor. And I've said Nicholas Batum is one of the most important players on the Clippers. And a lot of people agree, a lot of people don't agree, but he's definitely one of the most important players on the Clippers. So when he's playing good on both ends of the floor, it makes the Clippers an even better team anyway. And you look at players like Eric Bledsoe, the Amir Coffeys, the Brandon Bostons, and those other players. Those players have to step up a whole lot right now. They really do. And, I'll throw Terrence Mann in there as well. I feel like those players really have the green light, and I feel like they better find a way to utilize it to their advantage, because honestly, the team is on their back right now. And it's really, really crazy to say that, because those are very young players. And on top of that, it's just the team is riding around them right now. The season is riding on those young players right now. So the pressure that the Clippers have as an organization with the young guys and everything like that, hoping to get them on the same page, hoping to get them up there in regards to chemistry so they can play, to a level where the Clippers can be a formidable team. It's going to be tough for Ty Lue. And I honestly have to say, if Ty Lue can find a way to pull this one off, to keep this team afloat around that 9th, 7th, 8th, 7th through 9th seed, that would be really good if he's able to do that. But it's going to be very tough, because I just don't see how the Clippers can maintain with not knowing and the unknown of whether this player is going to come back or when this player is going to come back. And they got players on the floor who just don't even look right, and like I said, Nicholas Batum to me really just doesn't look right, and like I said, dealing with an Achilles ankle and the COVID he just came off of. I mean, he's trying, he really is, but like I said, it's hard when you're dealing with those type injuries. And anytime you have an Achilles type, injury, whether it's a Achilles sprain or anything like that, you really got to be precautious with that, because now you're saying that if this player makes the wrong turn, the wrong jump, the wrong move, he's out for a long time, at least a whole season. Because if he ruptures his Achilles, it's over with for Nicholas Batum as far as this season going into next season, and that's a weapon that the Clippers need to win a championship, I believe. He's just one of those valuable pieces. So, and right now I'll say everybody on the Clippers shows value. Everybody on the Clippers has value. Everybody on the Clippers has to show their value as well, because like I said, the high hopes for this team is very much dwindling down the drain if they don't find a way to win. And it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. And I think the Clippers know that, but I think they embrace that. And I really feel like it just shows the toughness of the team. And like I said, getting a win the other day against a team like the Atlanta Hawks, with a unsung hero like Amir Coffey coming out, dropping 21 points, is definitely encouraging for Ty Lue and the rest of the organization to see. But I mean, it's definitely awfully a lot to ask players like that to come out there and do it every night and consistently do it on a big stage like this, when they haven't even fully developed in the NBA or haven't been in the NBA long enough to develop. And it's just really, really difficult to do so. So that's why I said, if Ty Lue finds a way to keep this team afloat, and pull this one off and keep this team going until maybe Paul George can come back and maybe, get going, get his rhythm, and then, big dog Kawhi Leonard comes back to finish it off. It's just going to be tough, but it's going to be highly impressive if, Ty Lue can find a way to pull the right strings on these young players and get them to play at a certain level to help this team win. It's definitely going to be tough, but it's definitely doable. And, I definitely want to see, the Clippers, have an opportunity to get to the playoffs and just be healthy, because like I said, health has been the biggest thing going these last couple years, not only just because of injuries, but due to COVID and how the numbers seem to rise, go up and down, back and forth. It's just very, very tough for the world right now. So, and it's very, very tough. It's probably even more tough for the sports world because those guys are out there, putting their necks and lives on the line just to please us as fans, and knowing that they have a possibility, and knowing that they're going to could probably get sick at some point, because you're definitely around a whole lot of people and everybody is not vaccinated. Some are, some aren't. And, everybody is just, in crowds, and it's just really, really tough, So I definitely respect the Clippers for, trying to go out there and play their hardest and everything like that. But it's going to be tough, man, because these teams in the West are just getting, better. And it seems like they're just building more chemistry with the players that they have. As I said yesterday, I mean, the road to the finals, or the road to wherever you want to call it just might have got a little bit harder for the Clippers, because now Klay Thompson is back, the Warriors, the Lakers. The NBA analysts anyway say the Lakers are going to find a way to get it together because of LeBron James. But at the same time, you got other teams like the Phoenix Suns, is playing very well too. So, it's just really tough. And then you got a team like the Memphis Grizzlies playing really well. I mean, Ja Morant's really starting to look, like the superstar that people thought he would be. He's really starting to look like Derrick Rose, if you ask me. But it's going to be tough coming out the West. It really is. And, the Clippers right now, and if you look at even the bottom feeder teams in regards to like the Minnesota Timberwolves and teams like that, they're even playing pretty decent right now. So they actually have a better record than the Clippers. They're actually in the 8th seed, and the Clippers are on the outside looking in the 9th seed. So, I mean, injuries has really played the Clippers. But, the Clippers, if they just find a way to get healthy, man, I really believe they can, redirect the script for themselves and, put themselves in position to win. But, that's the thing. If and when is the phrase you have to use with the Clippers, because that's the only way to look at them. If and when, if they get healthy enough, and when they get healthy enough, will it be enough to help them overcome all of the miscues and the injuries and, some of the questionable losses they had this season? And will it be enough? You know what I'm saying? It's just a big question with the Clippers, and you just hope that, they find a way, because like I said, the team right now is riding on Amir Coffey's. It's riding on Brandon Boston's. It's riding on those young players like that. It's riding on, Eric Bledsoe. The team is really dependent upon those players. And I don't know if you could depend on those players to go out every night and give you that type of consistency. I just don't know. And I really hope that, the Clippers are able to, but it's very, very hard to say, because those players never been put in position to carry a team or to play consistent enough to, uplift a team, to give them the spirit they need to go out there and find ways to pull out some big wins and move forward with the season. Now, I will say they still got veterans on the floor. They got Eric Bledsoe. They got Serge Ibaka. They got veterans on the floor. But like I said, it's predominantly all a young team right now. And the one thing I will say that I said before, these young guys are really getting some really good experience, because without the core players being there, now these young guys are getting experience to the point where if it does come down to a playing tournament or a playoff game, they should be mentally ready for anything that happens. They should be battle tested somewhat enough to go out there and say, hey, I'm confident enough to go out there and show my game and play at a decent level, because I had to do it all season because we were very, very shorthanded on both ends of the floor, and I had to go out there and do it. So I had the confidence to go out there and do it in the playoffs. And that's the big advantage I think the Clippers might have if everybody can come back healthy, because now if you look at it, everybody on the Clippers roster has played in an NBA game, and it seems like everybody on the Clippers roster has been a starter at some point in this season. So when you could say that about your team, that shows that everybody has a level of comfortability of going out there and playing and, making big shots if their number's called upon. And that's definitely something that the Clippers can hold their hat on and definitely utilize to their advantage when they get all their players back and when they get healthy, because if they do that in time, they definitely can make a run for a championship. But like I said, with all the injuries and everything, it's looking a little bit, shaky. But at the same time, you just got to hope and hold on and see how it pans out for them going forward. But hey, that's my take on the situation. You leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think, as always. And hey, Cali out.